Hello and welcome to the Loose Butthole Review. Today we are reviewing Chaplin from 1992.
Hello.
And before we get into this, we can already give our ratings. 5 out of
Mm-hmm.
5, both across the
5 out of
board.
5. Mm-hmm.
Alright,
Me
alright.
too.
I have to say, I was kind of teetering between a 4.5 and a
Me
5.
too. I think
But,
it's a standard 5.
oh yeah, this is just like when this movie is like just everything goes right for the movie. The
Mm-hmm.
casting, the directing, the acting, the story itself that it's telling, it just all blends well into a nice tellable story, especially
Mm-hmm.
since we it's kind of based on Chaplin's autobiography, and I can see where he tried the real life slapstick moments. That was him trying to say, "Oh, slapstick's been a part of my life, like everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere." That's him trying to convey that without outright going, "When ever since I was 5 years old, I can remember slapstick being a part of my life." Blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing you instead of telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna
they.
lie, most of those moments probably actually did happen that comically when it comes to fucking Charlie Chaplin.
Oh yeah, who knows?
But yeah, get
It'd be
into
cool to.
why
Mm-hmm.
you think it's a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it achieved its goal. I thought it encapsulated everything that it needed to for Charlie Chaplin. Like I mean, they Robert Downey Jr. looked so much like him, especially when he had the makeup on.
Oh, dude, I don't think they could have got another person to play Chaplin. I
Yeah, and
not
he
not
and he
just
had
the
like the physical comedy down too.
yeah, the look and just how he portrayed like the movements and everything was on point.
Hmm. And and I liked a lot of the uh supporting cast too, but it was kind of hard to really like. I mean, it is very Chaplin focused, so he's getting the most screen time, of course. Uh, and it kind of goes through all his like wives too, so it's kind of hard for me to really like get a full impression from a lot of like especially like the wife characters because they kind of come and go, which is
Yeah,
natural for
but
the his life.
yeah, I think it was trying to convey how they was like how he saw them in their life. Of course,
Yeah.
the last one they don't talk about because I feel that that was the one. It took him 4 tries, but he finally found that one that he was going to stick with for the rest of his life.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that's who he was with in the end when like the one of like
He
taking
died.
care
He
of him.
died with her. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
taking care of him and everything.
Mm. And I actually was surprised because for some reason I always kind of assumed that he had a worsened because I know I remember like just from knowing about him that he got kicked out of the country, but that then he like fucking like died of alcoholism or something alone or something. But it was nice to see that it was a little bit better.
Yeah, he didn't like completely drown himself or anything.
Hmm.
This was
And he
definitely
wasn't much of a bastard as I thought he was going to be too. But then I guess I always kind of mix him up a little bit with the old Fatty
fatty
Arbuckle.
Arbuckle. Like the one person we could never fucking watch.
Yep. But that's a movie you can't do.
That's that would be too I don't even know the right descriptor to give that kind of what kind of movie that would be. I
It'd
want
be
to say
somewhere like
I want to say depraved, but that's not even the right word for it.
yeah, it would probably have like that kind of icky Henry the Portrait of the Serial Killer vibes.
Like it would just be just an awful time to watch.
Yeah. uh,
But with Chaplin, I understand that he kind of dabbled with the
yeah.
younger women, but
He,
we have to point out this is early the early 20th century. This is the 1910s and 1920s, basically, and a little bit of the 1930s. He met his last wife, and I believe in the 1940s.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was a predatorial thing that
And
he was
I'm
more.
not. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to say it is a predatorial thing, but
Uh,
it was a little bit more normalized. It is totally more. It is
See,
totally predatorial,
this
just
is
in nature.
where I this is where our view of some our predator what's predatorial comes into conflict. I don't feel fucking growing up in an environment where that is 100% okay can be considered predatorial to us because we didn't grow up in that time. We don't have that mindset. We have the 2022 mindset, and that mindset is not okay to put on somebody that was put raised in the 1920s and stayed in the 1920s. Like that's Chaplin didn't come out of the like his mentality was the 1920s and that was it.
Yeah,
And
let's
that's
say
where
that,
and
but I still don't think that justifies it at all.
I'm not
I
trying to
think
I'm not
only to an extent. But
I'm
I would
not
say
saying
yes,
it's
it
justified,
is
but
predatory.
just because
It
it's
is
not
by
justified.
definition
See,
predatory.
see, just again, the,
Even they even had laws in there like it was because they were trying to get them in a state where that did have like a 18 and up law too, of like
yeah,
and they were doing it for
That
bullshit
was more.
reasons.
See, now that's more on J. Edgar Hoover being a personal little dipshit
Yeah,
trying
that's
to
what I'm
just pin
saying. It was
like
more
that.
for bullshit reasons, but those laws were a thing there, and it was
Yeah,
still like
but
a
again,
slight
we have to
taboo.
point out those laws were made to catch people for personal reasons. Those weren't made because the person that made that law had a moral upbringing. The only
Yeah,
reason why they
it was
became a
more for
moral upbringing is because we
it was more for
decided to do
family
it.
control. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like for more for family control of like their children. Yeah, of course that's what it was, but
Oh, we
like
do have to
it
put
was
that's
a bit of a taboo because people even were a little bit like making fun of them. It was kind of it was still looked down upon. It was seen as it was definitely seen as like kind of like immature for like someone to be older than going after a younger person. It was taboo in that way,
I
in
guess,
kind of a
but
funny way. Just like, oh yeah, of course he's going for the young ones.
I kind of beg because almost everybody that was the norm. Like you went for younger back then instead of whoever was your fancy. That was drained into you. You got to get them while they're young because that's their best breeding
In some
stock.
yeah, in some parts of it, but I'm just saying like they even showed like in the movie, if you even paid attention in the movie, of like what like some of the things that they're even like making fun of them for. Like as I said, it wasn't like fully serious, like, oh, that is rape. They weren't saying that. Like for like some of the, I'm not even talking about like the government people. I'm talking about like his friends when they're like, oh, like she's really
And
young.
and I want to point out the reason why I don't think this is predatorial when it comes to Chaplin, at least, is because I don't think Chaplin was going, yes, yes, a 16-year-old, yes, that's what I need. I don't think he was doing that. I think he literally, unfortunately, fell in love at first sight. That they showed that quite often that he did, and he just had to have that person, no matter
I
what
don't think
age
it
or
has.
anything.
I don't think it has to be like
Like that,
I think it like
the
you know how
I
like there's different
when it
types of murders, just like how there's different types of murders. I don't think it has to be like even like you planned it out or you did it in like that full predatory way. Mainly
see I
predatory. It's
see
just like
I
he has that influence and that like
accidental predatory is not predatory to me. That's someone making a mistake. I'm not
I
gonna
think
call.
it's someone willfully
He didn't willfully make this
ignoring.
mistake. He willfully went along with the times and just did what the times thought was normal. He didn't willfully ignore the laws and everything to do it.
And
He
but
was going
he
with
did
what he thought was
strategically
normal.
go and marry in Mexico to so he didn't do it in California where
That is
California had a
so.
higher law.
Again, this is so J. Edgar Hoover stays off his fucking ass because J. Edgar Hoover was trying to get him out of the country because he thought he was a fucking Nazi because he played Hitler in a movie.
Oh, he didn't think he was Hitler. He thought he was a communist because he saw the message of the movie. He said that they're not talking about Nazi Germany. They're talking about America. It was that he thought he was a commie.
Well, Nazi and commie is interchangeable back then. That
No, it isn't.
based
No, it isn't. That wasn't about
to
anything
J.
about the
Edgar
actual
Hoover. This is
Nazis.
why we're gonna watch J. Edgar Hoover
And
after
Nazis.
this. To J. Edgar Hoover, Nazi and commies are the same fucking thing. We were talking about
No,
J. Edgar Hoover.
To J. Edgar Hoover, communists are worse than Nazis.
We're
They know the difference between a fascist and a communist.
we're
They
gonna
do.
because there's a quote from him that there's no difference between the two.
Oh yeah, but he's not saying that in like their difference of like what they are. Just in like he's just saying about how bad communists are. It's the same type of quote when Patton said that you know we were on the wrong side when it was the Russians against the Germans, against the
So
Nazis.
so he thought the Nazis was even worse than communism. If he's trying to compare,
Patton?
if he's
No,
trying,
I'm saying Patton.
no,
Patton
I'm
thought
not saying
communism was
Patton.
worse
I'm
than.
not talking about
Huh?
Patton. I'm talking about J. Edgar Hoover.
But he said that they're both the same in that way. But he doesn't think he's not going after all the Nazis in Hollywood. He's going after the communists, which was anybody
Because
who had
uh,
leftist views.
who, I hate to ask this, but who identified as a Nazi in America during that time in Hollywood at least?
Who?
Yeah, like there was no one like we could point
No
out
one.
and
Yeah.
go, "Oh, this person is part of the like that." That's the problem is there are people back then where you're like, yeah, they did support communism. Like there are several people
Yeah.
that it wasn't right for J. Edgar Hoover to go after because they supported communism, but they completely did.
Mm-hmm. Or they just had like some liberal views, or like it was like with Jack Parsons too. I mean, he wasn't exactly a communist, but he entertained like socialists. Like they'd go after people who were like even just socialists, which is another different thing too. But fascism, I mean, is totally different.
I guess I can't see it as predatorial because it was J. Edgar Hoover that was trying to use it as a sticking point, and J. Edgar Hoover's the last motherfucker to be able to use that kind of sticking point against somebody when he literally fucking kept his partner, his FBI partner, from leaving his house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that shit was predatorial. That motherfucker
But
was obsessed with that dude.
yeah, no, agree with that. I don't think that was a right thing, or and it was definitely like they weren't trying to do it for justice or anything. They even found that crazy chick
See,
to like
I just
lie
think
and say that
when it comes to
she.
predatorial abuse, there is some semblance of that is the goal, is the
I
abuse
think
in
it's I
some
still
form or
think it's
fashion.
bordering on predatory. I think it's still like a sleazy
It's
Hollywood thing to do.
it is sleazy. I'm not saying it's not sleazy. There's a difference between wrong and outright monstrous. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to distinguish the two. It's like me trying to fucking compare Ed Kemper to Mark Twitchell. Both serial
Mm-hmm.
killers, but I couldn't compare the two because Ed Kemper is way more monstrous than Mark Twitchell. Mark Twitchell's still a monster. Not saying he's
But it's
not.
also hard to start walking on eggshells when you're like, because there's still like a lot of states that have like some like the 16 law and two, but then you're like saying like, okay, then it does seem really arbitrary when like, okay, it was okay that it happened in this state, but oh, he did it in this state, and that's predatory, and then you have to be like, oh well, you have to look in their intentions. We're like, do you have to be like,
See, that's
oh
what I'm
well,
saying.
this
I
person
don't
seems
think it
kind
was
of dumb and
predatorial at
ignorant,
all
so.
because it was just the right thing to do. It's messed. I'm saying it. I'm also agreeing that it's messed up that J. Edgar Hoover tried to do that. Like, oh, he's being predatory because he tried to marry a 16-year-old in the state of California instead of the state
Yeah,
of Georgia. You know
yeah, 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 yeah.
that's wrong.
Yeah, but I'm just saying we're like giving I'd say giving Chaplin giving him the full like letting him slide type of thing. Then you'd have to like look at a bunch of other cases now and then like a bunch of things, and like how many more people would you have to let slide, or like then I don't know. It starts. I, it's weird to kind of like I
It
don't know. I
depends.
feel like I
I
feel like
know
it's
that
not
it's
fair.
harder.
I feel like it's not fair.
I can agree with you because I'm about to say it is harder for victims to come out from back then because that's almost impossible. But I feel that there's evidence towards it,
Mhm.
even
And
if
I don't
they're.
think his mate like that he was abusive to them or anything. It
I
seemed
don't
like
think
it
he
seemed
was
like they
abusive.
were all.
I don't think. See, I don't. When it comes something being predatorial to me, I feel that there is a goal. Not they don't intend harm, but the end goal will cause harm no matter what. Their end goal,
Mhm.
it's harm's gonna happen, and they know it's gonna happen, but they don't care as long as they get to that end goal. That is what I
Mhm.
consider predatorial, and I don't think Chaplin was doing that. I don't think he had an end goal to hurt any of these underaged
Mhm.
women with being older. I think he was just going with the times and just trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
live a normal life. And of course, we do have to point out only technically, on a technicality, only two of his wives were underage.
Mhm.
The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
third one was 26 and the other one was 18.
Yeah. I'm not trying to cancel the guy. I was just, I was just saying that they're even of like putting the time, but still, I still have to like put
I
my
just
just
wouldn't put it the
principles in my
predatorial
my
label.
modern.
I find it harsh to put the predatorial label on him.
I feel
It
like
is
just
all.
by nature, when you're with someone with that much, who's not who is that less developed than you, like mentally and honestly physically. I mean, when we
Well,
look at
that
Mia,
then we would
look
have to look at
just
the.
looking at Jovovich, of just like her and Dazed and Confused compared to this, how much more she looked like a baby, when like up close, of like how uncomfortable that scene was. Because like, she looked really adult, like from afar. Because I was like, oh shit, Mia Jovovich, and then like it got really like close up there. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, she's like
she's
17,
and
18 in
she's
this movie.
17 in this. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like about to be 18, and then the James and Confused is just a year after this, and like she's matured so much. But just showing that, like, it just really does show like how much a year does make a difference.
See, but that's the we're comparing. What if Chaplin's mentality wasn't that developed? What if he did just have a mentality of a 18-year-old stuck? Because there are people out there like that. If
Yeah,
we're gonna if we're gonna go on developmental progress, then that the numbers would be completely fucked.
but I
Like
think
we,
he's way too smart to also be doing that too.
yeah, I don't
He's
like I said.
very intelligent. I mean, especially just from what we've seen off this by autobiography like movie.
Yeah, he. I mean, it's. I know that it wasn't him writing the movie, but the autobiography is written very well. It's very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew what he was
Mm-hmm.
doing. I
Yeah,
do believe. I just. I don't. I I just feel wrong putting the predatorial label on him because I don't. Again, I don't feel that he was going
that
underage.
it's lightly predatory. That's all
If
I'll say.
if
That's
the
I made my
relation,
point. I made my point. That's
if you,
my opinion.
yeah, your opinion. Okay, gotta put that on there because in my
Yeah,
opinion there's fine line between predatorial and what Chaplin was.
I just had to. I have to put that out because I disagree. So I have to really point that out.
But yeah, other than that, this movie was fucking phenomenal. Everything was on point. The music didn't take away from it or subtract from it. It went
They
with
had
whatever is
David
seen.
Duchovny. They had David Duchovny and why am I always blank out on his name? Like he's got a name that I always blank out on.
I don't know
Crystal.
which one you're
I can
talking
only
about
ever
there.
remember Crystal Skull Vodka.
Fucking Dan Aykroyd. Dan
Dan
Aykroyd.
Aykroyd. Thank you.
The
It's a
casting in
it
this,
is a
they had
cursed
Hannibal
name.
Lecter. They had the dude that plays Hannibal Lecter as the
Oh
editor
yeah,
for
yeah,
crying out
yeah.
loud. The casting
But
in this was on point.
yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, James Woods. I mean, yeah, Mia Jovovich. It was cool to see her in something, even though she's a little baby in this.
She is younger, yes. But it's nice to know that that's where she got her start. You know, she didn't just start with Resident Evil. This is where she started. And I hate that she went to Resident Evil because that's so shit compared to this.
I think the person who does Resident Evil was married to her at the time, at the very least. I don't know if they're still married, but
I that doesn't fucking it doesn't help.
But she's what makes those movies.
Yeah, she's and they're still not good.
Yeah, they're still not good, but it's like at least at least Mia Jovovich is here.
Yeah, yeah. There's, but we're getting on it off topic.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we're definitely gonna have to watch the Great Dictator at
Yeah,
some point
we're
now.
see there. I have an order. I think we next after we finished. We should finish Mindhunter this week.
Yeah.
After we finish Mindhunter, I say we watch J. Edgar Hoover, and then to get his side, his life and everything, and then
Mm.
we watch the movie that caused the J. Edgar Hoover versus Chaplin feud.
Ooh, yes. That'd be sweet. I hope they
I,
include the panties.
I can't remember. I've seen J. Edgar before. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I can't remember if they do, and I feel like I would have remembered that. But they
They probably
do.
don't. I would.
They
I'd be
do. They
surprised if they do.
do. They do. A little spoiler. They do hint towards his gayness, and they do lightly touch on the fact that he was super possessive over his FBI part. Like, I don't know if I don't. It was an FBI guy that started working for him, and he
Mm.
refused to let the guy leave his house after a while. That's all I know. Like, it was just a nightmare for him to try to leave the house because J. Edgar Hoover would go insane. And they do lightly touch on that, and they also touch on the fact that J. Edgar Hoover was full of shit. He
Mm.
he all the arrests he made, all the investigations he was a part of, he literally just showed up at the last second to slap the cuffs on the people and take the credit and nothing fucking more. They
Yup.
tackle that issue too.
Mm. That's all he does, and then and get people to find dirt on everybody so he could hoard it
He
and
did that
blackmail a
illegally.
bunch of
That was
people.
illegal what he was doing.
All the
He
blackmail he had on
that was
everybody.
because of all the weird sexual shit, and he couldn't get anything on Chaplin. He couldn't fucking get anything on Chaplin.
Nope, he tried.
He did their damnedest. That that's another reason why I don't think Chaplin was predatorial. He had the FBI watching his ass. We would have known.
All I'm saying, all I'll still say is that even though he's not actively predatory, it was still the nature of the relationship of underage
I will
relationship is
say
predatory.
those the nature of those relations can be predatorial, but they're not always predatorial. Sometimes it's 100% just an idiot being a fucking idiot and not realizing what he's doing.
I think even just because it doesn't do damage, it could still be predatory.
It see that's the thing. If it's a mistake, I don't think it should be. If it's a idiotic mistake, I don't think it's predatorial. And I feel Chaplin was just being an idiot and going with the times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
People
still
can
would say
learn.
it's like
People can learn from their mistakes.
it's the manslaughter of
But
predatory.
I again, I don't. This is you're comparing manslaughter to murder, and I do not do that whatsoever.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, like,
There's yes, they're both killing an individual, but they are vastly different. Manslaughter is 100% accidental. You did not mean to do it, but you were doing something that could have killed somebody, and you should have thought about that.
mm,
When
and there's different
murder,
levels, like negligent
when murder is literally
homicide too.
thinking, at least for like, I don't know how long you have to think, but it's premeditated almost all the time.
Yeah, yeah. But there is such a thing of like doing something so negligent that you, and it's like you weren't actively trying to murder someone, but you didn't care.
Then that's not manslaughter. That's straight up murder.
I
Manslaughter,
think
you
it's
have to
called
you
I think
have
it's called negligent homicide.
yeah, okay. See, then that's why it's because manslaughter should be 100% accidental, and you should show like it should be for the people. given to the people that do show remorse for it.
Yeah, but I
Not
was only
like
trying to grab a loose
it's a,
analogy. I wasn't actually trying to
no, I
make a
it's a good
commentary
thing.
on that.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You kind of because I was about to segue into Rittenhouse, how he's not a
Oh.
murderer, but he's still a killer, and he shows no remorse for it whatsoever, and that's the problem.
Mhm.
Like he does not care that he killed those two people. He does not.
Mhm.
You can't say that him crying on the no, he was crying on the stand because he thought his life was over. That's all. He wasn't crying on the stand because he killed those two people.
Mhm.
But that's me getting into a tangent that I don't need to be getting into right now.
But 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5 for Chaplin, yeah.
We're in the mood for Chaplin.
Definitely definitely a great
This movie
movie.
achieved its goal. It encapsulated Chaplin in spirit, and it like his life in a good mix of like adding some little artistic things like all the slapstick
Yeah, some
segments and stuff.
artistic liberties to spice it up because let's face it, if we watched a real like day to day life on somebody, it'd be very fucking boring.
Unless it's like Andy Kaufman, because it seems like that dude never turned it off.
Yeah, that's a completely different beast right there.
We might have to do that movie. We might have to add that movie to the list.
Uh, but yes, if you've been listening this long, thank you so much. Please like or comment, dislike on the video, and share it around. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and go check out some more of our content. Apparently, our Chicago review is the one to go watch because it's getting the most views right now. So go watch
Ooh, yeah.
Chicago. Uh, and go watch some more of our reviews and watch some of our Let's Plays. We will be back with Relax Talk as well. I've been holding back an episode until we started recording those again, which we will this week. So if not this week, then next week we will have a new Relax Talk you can go listen to as well. It's a bit old because I've been having it on the back burner, but I've been wanting. Do you care if I announce that you were sick?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I had
you're Spooge was sick for a minute, and I just wanted to give him the proper time to recover and everything without hounding him to have to hold a conversation for an hour.
I had the demonetization syndrome.
Yeah, we can't fuck it. I can't speak about what it's talked about because we would get shadow banned.
Yep.
All right, and this will be a bye.
Bye bye.